I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, February the 13th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Not all tubs are created equal. Stretch your profits with every lick. Exciting new stuff coming from Vitalix this year. Going to be free tubs. Stay tuned to the feeder flash and I'll keep you up to date on that. Get the blue tub. Your cows will love you. For more information, go to Vitalix.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, going to have around 4,000, give or take 100 or 2 or 5, but have a good sale. Now, this is the first week they are going to go to 2 sales a week. They haven't done that before, but they're growing. And the cow sales, they usually sell the cows after the feeders, and it's been running pretty late at night. And just for ease on the help on the cattle, just make everything easier. They're going to start selling those cows on Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They are going to have 400 plus cows on Wednesday afternoon at 1. But just feeder cattle today for Tuesday. Like I said, around 4,000 head. I talked to Lane Conkle there. He said they're going to have about 500 head of calves, so it'll be mostly yearlings. It's been being mostly calves here the last few weeks, but mostly yearlings this week. A lot of them weighing 300 to 600 pounds, and most all of them long time weaned. If you're looking for something to turn out, about 3,500 yearling feeder cattle, droves and droves of 7 to 9 weight yearling steers. About 20 load lots will be made up of those, and then some other mixed deals and bigger strings. But be a lot of quality in those 7 to 9 weight yearling steers. And whenever they say that, they mean it. I mean, it is a lot of quality, guys. But I'm right here in the middle of the sun. And it's about to kill me here, but we're going to get through it. But to talk about the heifers they're going to have at Beaver County Stockyards, going to have a lot of heifers, at least 16 load lots of 6 to 8 weight heifers, mostly 6 to 750. A lot of those will be really good, and Lane told me they're going to have a lot of calf weight yearlings. I mean, grazing type cattle. If you guys are interested in something like that. But on the cow sale on Wednesday, they did mention they're going to have 140 head dispersal. Young farmer there that's been running a few cows, and he decided he'd rather drive tractors, so he's going to sell those. They're 4-year-old P3 moderate frame black cows there if you're interested in those. And so I want to talk to you about too much tag. And I've mentioned that here as we've gone through this muddy period the last month or so. Probably not as much as I should have. And now it's probably a little late to be talking about it as much as I'm going to. But it just showed up in your market in a big, big way. So, you know, we come out of that big storm there that we had last month, and then we had some melting, and it's been really moderate here the last couple of weeks up through the Midwest and the plains and everywhere, and there's been lots and lots of mud. I mean soup, so it's been kind of tough. And when those cattle, especially those long-haired cattle, pick a lot of that up on their hides, that's not good for your dressing percentage whenever you're sending those cattle to slaughter. And so packers they don't like to gamble on things, and they don't want to have to, nobody's looking at the cattle hardly anymore. So if they're buying cattle in a negotiated basis, they're not really wanting to buy cattle you know, that have any tag on them at all or any mud, because that adds up to a lot of weight, and it's harder to render those carcasses and everything. In fact, a lot of those plants will literally wash those cattle with fire hoses there before they go into the slaughter. But it made a huge difference on this past week's market. Our live sales were $2 to $4 higher, which is a great gain. Our dress sales were $5 to $10 higher in your 5 area feeding region, and your weighted average was up 336 on the live weighted average. Dress steer weighted average was up 784, because if they're buying those cattle on a dress basis, most of those cattle that they want dressed are going to be coming from feeding barns, and they're going to be cleaner and they're going to be higher in quality, which means that they're going to want more for them. And it just made a big difference in the amount of market gained on a live basis and the amount gained on a dress basis. So you don't want to, if you've got cattle that's got a lot of tag on them, yeah, you would like to just sell those cattle on a live basis there, so they weigh them up live with all that tag on them. But if you've got really clean cattle, and then you can send them in there on a dress basis and get a lot better market. So you know, they're looking at everything, and like I said, your packers don't really like to gamble on things. They want to know what's going on, and so they're it's starting to show. And I think we're getting towards the end of that right as I'm mentioning it, because I'm talking to producers all over the country, and they said things are starting to shore up out in their lots a little bit. It's not quite as muddy. I'm coming to you from central Nebraska right here with sun in my face, and the weather is actually better here in central Nebraska than it was in Florida. I was there all weekend. Beautiful day in central Nebraska on Monday, and I couldn't believe that it was a lot better day for walking the beach than it was in Florida when I was down there. It was foggy and misty and rainy, cool and muggy the whole time I was down there in Florida. But the mud doesn't seem to be quite as bad. They haven't had a lot of moisture, which I always like to have some moisture, but the winter time's a good time to have a drought. And I'm not saying we're in a drought, but not looking for a lot of moisture this time of year in the Midwest and up through the northern plains, because it just makes things muddy all the time. But I've told you many times before, I hate to make this feeder flash report you know, a eulogy type thing, but I have to acknowledge the passing of Mike Lewis from Pratt Livestock. And I'm not going to pretend that I knew him real well, because I didn't. I had met him a couple of times, and always heard about him, and I had a lot of respect about him, and his reputation preceded him about being honest, being a good sale barn market man, and being good to his customers, and holding the market and all that. But he was at Pratt, Kansas at the sale barn there from the mid-60s up till now. Now, he sold that market about 12 years ago to Winter family. So it's Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas, but he stayed on to continue managing that, and that was a good decision there by him and the Winter family there, because he was so well liked around Pratt. And you don't hear anybody say anything bad about Mike Lewis, because he was honest. And in this business, it's hard to find somebody that can resist not being honest. But he's just an honest guy. Treated everybody fairly, was a good market man, good cattle man, and he's going to be very missed all around that central part of Kansas there, and I sure wanted to acknowledge the fact that he did pass after a long illness there that had been beating on him forever, but he fought it pretty bravely there, guys. Let's talk about your board for Monday. February live cattle futures down 37 cents at 184 1/4. April down 80 at 185.92. Your back months were down 45 cents to up 32 cents. March feeder cattle up 167 at 248.82. April was up 140 at 253.17. Your back months were up as little as 2 cents, which was your farthest out traded month, to as much as $1.17 higher. So a continued impressive board, and it's really lending a lot of confidence here to this cash market that continues to go higher all the time. But look at your grains. March corn up 1.5 cents a bushel at 430.5. March beans up 9.5 cents at 11.93. March Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 2 3/4 cents at 5.98 3/4. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5 areas, 64,200. I never thought I'd say that was an impressive movement, but it wasn't bad for the way things have been going. And of course, we've got tighter supplies. But that compares to 57,700 the previous week, 87,700 the same week a year ago. And as I mentioned, your live cattle cash prices direct and your 5 area was sharply higher last week. Very impressive market. Live sales in the 5 area ranged from 175 to 183. That was $2 to $4 higher. Your weighted average on live steers 180, 115, up $3.36 compared to the previous week's weighted average. Dress sales 280 to 290. That's $5 to $10 higher. Your weighted average on dress steers was 287.37, up 784. Wow, just impressive market. The market as a whole in the northern plains was $3 to $4 higher from 180 to 182.5, $5 to $9 higher dress from 285 to 289 for the most part. Southern plains was $3 to $4 higher. Texas was a lot $4 higher at 182. Nationwide, they sold 83,100 last week compared to 69,900 the previous week, and a big movement the same week a year ago, 108,400. Now that's what I'm talking about. You can get some price discovery with a big movement like that. But of the 83,100, about 11% of those are for the 15 to 30 day delivery, and packers will likely take those earlier than that, so they're not having any luck setting the market up for a fall. Negotiated grid last week was 32,200. Forward contracting last week was pretty big. When you're on an up market and the board's higher, you can get some forward contracting done if you're a packer trying to buy some cattle out front. 54,700. We don't like to see that get too big because that just gives them a bigger percentage of their needs being filled before we get there. But formula sales were 269,600. But of the 4 out of 5 feeding regions that we get information from last week, Iowa sold 22,300 negotiated, pretty decent. Nebraska sold 28,600. That's about normal for them if we go back historically, at least over the last 10 years or so. Kansas only sold 8,400, which is down, and Texas only 5,000. Box beef cutout values on Monday afternoon were a little bit higher on choice, quite a bit higher on select. Choice cuts up 4 cents a hundred at $294.08. Select's up $1.94 at $287.02. Choice select spread on Monday afternoon was only $7.06. Wow. Slaughter 115,000 estimated on Monday. That's light. That's 10,000 less than the week ago, 9,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. The Night Latch Group, which Western Oklahoma, there in Laverne, Oklahoma, Andy and Codell Cunningham, but they can help you wherever you're at, guys. But they sell LRPs, lack of rainfall insurance, they do everything, but they have really found a niche with this livestock gross margin policy, and let them show you how you can leverage the risk on your cattle and your corn at the same time with that livestock gross margin policy. For more information, go to nightlatch.net. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states. Late in the day on Monday, sitting at 245.04. That was 60 cents higher. Man, we have gained ground there. But CME cash feeder cattle index zoomed by us, and if you had some LRPs that got paid up on Monday, you were kind of disappointed in that because it went all the way up to 246.06. That was $3 higher on Friday. So we'll see if it gains more ground on Monday, but it had been lagging a dollar or so behind your real-time index, and then all of a sudden zoomed up there big. But like I said earlier, coming to you from Broken Bow, Nebraska. Beautiful weather here in Nebraska. Going to be giving a talk here for some pretty good sized group. I can see them cooking steaks right outside the hotel window here, so I'm looking forward to that. But we're going to do that here on Monday night. Going to be traveling up to Fort Pierre, South Dakota on Tuesday here. So Tuesday evening, if you're in the area, I'm going to be in Fort Pierce, South Dakota, giving a talk. I've been traveling a lot here lately, so if these feeder flashes don't have as much commentary as you would like, that's the problem. There is because I'm just doing these when I have a chance to do them. But going to be heading down to San Antonio with my daughter to show a pig late in the week, so be a lot of traveling this week. Talk about your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City had 7,500, and that was a little bit lighter than what they probably would have had, but they had a pretty good winter storm come in on Sunday evening there, and it dumped quite a bit of snow in places around there, and some rain too, so it made it, they pretty much had to just sell what they had come in on Sunday. Nothing much coming in on Monday, but feeders were steady to weak and a lighter test. I hate to say you light test on 7,500 head, but it wasn't near as big a test as the previous week. But calves sold $2 to $4 higher than last week's sharp gains. Market just continues to rise there. They did note in Oklahoma City they had 2 packages. Of course, they weren't load lots, but 2 packages of light 3-weight steers weighing from 3 to 350 that bring over $4 a pound in Oklahoma City. And I know you guys down in Okeechobee, Florida, like I talked to you in Orlando, saying, hell, we've been doing that all winter, but they haven't been doing it in the plains, and it's still kind of a big deal when you see $4 as a front figure on calves. But Joplin Regional Stockyards had 12,000 after breaking a record for them, a personal record of 15,600 last week. Had another 12,000 this week. Steers sold $2 to $5 higher. Heifers sold $4 to $10 higher. I cannot argue with that trend one bit, because if you look at the NationalBeefWire stick out sale of the day and the automated market report here from Cattle Market Central, you look at those changes over there from your weighted averages, which is a pretty decent way to call a trend. Not perfect, but it's exactly what the market reporter there from Missouri Federal State Market News called it. But look at your best tested weights. 1,046 head of 5-weight steer calves in Joplin, average 554 at 292.31. That was $5 higher. 1,171 head of 6-weight steers in Joplin, average 651 at 263.76. That was $3 higher. 1,385 head of 7-weight steers, Carthage, Missouri, Joplin Regional Stockyards, average 752 at 246.47. That was $6 higher than the big sale that they had, than the weighted average on 7-weight steers on the big sale the previous week. Look at the heifers. 606 head of 4-weight heifers, average 459 at 272.03, $8 higher. 1,083 head of 5-weight heifers, average 546 at 259.95. That was $7 higher. 1,183 head of 6-weight heifers in Joplin, average 638 at 247.25. $12 higher on the weighted average than last week's big sale. Give you some individual quotes from all around. How about Tina Livestock, Northwest Missouri sale up there? 65 steers weighed 820 at 250.10. How about Aberdeen Livestock sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota? They sell 100 head of steers, weigh 556 at 327.50. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday was your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day. Our friends at Russell Livestock Market in Russell, Iowa, that's a DVAuction broadcaster there. They sell 71 steers, weighed 692 at 282.75. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.